Yo, 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 yo. What's happening to everybody? We're here for the Heat Bucks pregame show. I'm here with my guy Clutch, Jonathan Romlicon, and Brady Hawk. And we're here to talk about the Heat's upcoming matchup tonight against the Bucks. They play at 7:30 on TNT. The Heat coming off of Christmas Day win over the Pelicans, and the Bucks coming off a surprising 20-point loss to the Knicks. No Jimmy Butler tonight. We got a lot of things going on. Brady, what are you looking forward to most tonight?
I think with Jimmy being out, I think we're going to see a lot more dribble handoffs with Bam and Duncan. They're going to be working a lot more. And I think Bam's going to have to be a lot more initiative in the offense as a playmaker and as a scorer. And I think they're going to start flying high on Duncan to start the game. Bolton Hoser just kind of talked about Duncan and how he runs off screens and his off-ball movement, all that stuff. So I expect Bam to have a lot of opportunities to attack the basket. And Jimmy out, I think he's going to have to take over the offensive time, just continue to, put the ball on the floor and attack.
Okay. Jonathan, with Jimmy out, who are you expecting to kind of like take that next starting spot?
I mean, you got to assume none. Spo likes to not take off the bench and just kind of throw in like the 12th or 11th guy that doesn't really play much. So I could see being none, just taking 20 or 25 minutes from the game. But just probably him taking the spot. But as far as maybe positionally, probably more Harkless, a little bit more Harkless, and then you'll probably see a little bit. Hopefully, everybody's been begging to see KZ Okpala. That's going to be interesting to see if that happens.
Yeah, Clutch, you see any minutes for KZ tonight?
I do, but not in a good way because personally, I don't think this is a good night for the Heat, especially because the Bucks are coming off a 20-point loss to the Knicks, and we don't have Jimmy. So I think we do see some KZ minutes in the fourth quarter, but it doesn't look too promising for me.
So you're predicting a loss tonight?
I am.
Bah humbug. Ricky, my man jumped in here mid-stream.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay, dude. So the Grinch, Clutch picking the loss. You follow him with this loss, bro? You think we're losing tonight?
I think it's very possible, but if I remember this correctly, last season we took on the Bucks in Milwaukee and beat them in overtime without. I think it was either Bam or Jimmy that was missing that night.
It was without Jimmy.
It was without Jimmy.
Yeah,
I figure. So I think it's very possible for this Heat team to put enough together against this unproven, which is crazy considering they won 60 games. Unproven Bucks team. I think they can win, but if they lost tonight, it wouldn't shock me. I have the Heat going 500 in this back-to-back.
Okay, so that's an extra point that you bring up, them going 500, because I think Greg made the same point on the podcast. Like, you just want to get out of here and you want to split. So what is it that they have to do to actually split if Jimmy doesn't play in either game? And we'll go in the reverse order. So Ricky, and we'll go around the horn on this one. So Ricky, what do you think the Heat have to do in order to at least win one of these games without Jimmy?
I think what they need to do is build on what they were doing on Christmas Day, basically, mainly because Jimmy, I believe, missed the entire second half, and it seemed like a collective team effort that really shut down the Pelicans down the stretch. If we're able to do that, I think we'll be able to frustrate Giannis enough, as well as basically slowing down the Bucks enough to get some stuff done. Now, of course, that will depend on a lot of things. We beat the Pelicans in part because Duncan Robinson was on fire from deep. Can he repeat that against this Milwaukee team? I think it's very possible. Can Hero have a big night? I know he's got some bragging rights to play for us because of the Wisconsin connection, but I think it depends on if the team are able to play close to perfect basketball, or at the very least perfect defense. If they do that, then they have a shot to do this without Jimmy.
So we welcome in Greg Sylvander into the cast. Greg, we were talking about your point that you made on the pod about the Heat only needing to win one of these next two games. We're trying to figure out what it is that the Heat might need to do if assuming Jimmy doesn't play in either game. What is it that Miami would have to do in order to get one of those two wins or potentially win both of them?
They need a Tyler Tuesday triple-double. I think that would probably be where we should start. But no, truthfully, they're going to need huge Bam Adebayo minutes. I don't think that there's any reason why at this point, max contract, we don't get 20 field goal attempts out of Bam tonight. I know that that's not necessarily always his game, but I feel like this is a moment in time where he can push himself a bit and kind of stretch the limits of what he does. They're going to need Big Bam. They're going to need Big Bam minutes. They're going to need to shoot well, like above 40% from three, and limit turnovers. And that's it, man. I mean, just get 1 out of 2. Like, let's not get greedy. And also, let's remember that it is really early in the season. Teams are still feeling each other out. And the biggest thing, too, is like when you look at the standings, the teams at the top and all the undefeated squads are probably not going to be playoff teams. So what's gone on so far is not indicative of what will happen long term. So don't freak out, Heat fans. I know it's hard, but don't freak out.
I think Greg brought up a really interesting point in terms of keeping the turnovers down. With Jimmy being one of our primary facilitators, Clutch, how can Miami, like who else would they be depending on to help them keep those turnovers down with Jimmy out?
I think Tyler needs to have a really good game, and just not in terms of just his turnovers, but I think he needs to be able to hit a high percentage of his shots. We see that when Jimmy isn't in the starting lineup last season, when he was out injured, or if there were different issues going on with him, we saw that Tyler was in the starting lineup in his place, and Tyler usually had good games when Jimmy wasn't playing. So I expect Tyler. I need him to have 25 points. I'll say it as easily as that. I need Tyler to have 25 points for the Heat to win this game. And I don't necessarily think we need Big Bam shots. I don't think he needs to have 20 field goals. Sorry, Greg, but I think defensively he needs to be, on target. He needs to be the best player on the court defensively, but I don't think he necessarily needs to take 20 shots for them to win this game. I just think if he matches up well with Brooke and with Giannis, and he limits their effectiveness, I think that's the best that we need from Bam.
Okay, so, go ahead.
No, I just got to weigh in quickly. Clutch is right. I didn't really consider, and I actually mentioned it on the pod, that Bam's going to be guarding Giannis, so maybe 20 field goal attempts is a bit audacious of me to request of him. So that's all I wanted to get that in there.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of shoot to Jonathan about the defensive assignment of Giannis. Last year, we had the ability to kind of like size up with Jay to be able to take some of those minutes from Bam. Right now, it seems like Bam and who else? Mo. I know they were talking a little bit about some precious minutes, which is who I'm most interested to see get a stab at Giannis. So I figure that we deal with the problem that is Giannis.
I mean, we have to do what we did last year, and to Donald Trump, we need to build the wall. And what we're going to have to do, I think, really, is we have a bunch of guys that are going to be able to do this. Last year, Jay was our primary defender because he was strong enough and he was agile enough. And I think last game, Precious showed that he's quick enough and strong enough to honest because he handled somebody like a Zion Williamson. So he has the potential to do that. But I think the main thing is going to have to be a team effort. We're going to have to build that wall if we want to try to stop Giannis.
Brady, so we're talking about defense a lot. Offensively, how are we going to get some of that production? I know somebody was talking about Kendrick Nunn. I know we're talking about Kendrick Nunn potentially filling in some of that role. He needs to be effective, but what happens if he isn't? How do we generate that same offensive production without Jimmy?
Well, the big topic between players these past couple of days has been next man up. But I don't think next man up matters if they don't have their veteran Goran Dragic on the court. Every game, it seems like we discuss everybody on the team except Goran because we just know what he's going to do when he goes out there. He's just going to consistently score the ball, hit shots when they're in a hole, and get them out of certain situations. And that's going to be the big thing. We kind of discussed even last year in the playoffs when Jimmy was off the floor. Like Goran needed to be out there. Like he needed to direct offensively. He just needed to be out there to, impact. And now with Jimmy being out, I think it's going to, Goran's going to have to continue to hold that load. It's kind of crazy because heading into the season, we were kind of saying, is he going to be ready for the start of the season? He may take some decrease in minutes. And now we're talking about him taking over Jimmy Butler's role offensively. So I think he's capable of it. I think he's going to still, 34 years old and he looks like he's 24. So I think he's going to go out there and, take over offensively if none produces or if he doesn't.
Ricky, you look, you had something to say a little bit earlier.
Well, I think building a wall. I think that might work down here in South Florida, but I'm not sure that'll go over well in Wisconsin, as recent history has suggested. But look, in a way, I agree. I think it is important for us to have a collective effort against Giannis because he is essentially the lifeblood. They might be able to win one game on the back of a really good Chris Middleton performance, as we saw in the playoffs last year. But if we're able to neutralize Giannis, in many ways, it's like watching that Bucks team reminds me a lot of that 09-10 Cavaliers team. And if we're able to take care of him, stay at home on our shooters, be honest, and especially if Tyler Hero is able to slow down, he has the ability to be a solid ball handler for us. But if Orlando was any indication, he was kind of rushing things a little bit. If he's able to slow down, and if we're able to get hot early, even if Milwaukee remembers that on paper they're better than we are, I think we should be just fine. And I know Kezio Okpala came up a little bit earlier. I think this might actually be an opportunity for him to get some spot minutes, maybe at the end of the second quarter, just to see what they can do with him. Because remember, Kezio Okpala, he might be about 6'8", but I could have sworn I read somewhere that he might actually be closer to 6'10" when he's finished growing. And that kind of length will be I think it'll be very useful against this Milwaukee Bucks team, especially with Giannis. You never know. If you throw different guys at Giannis, he won't be able to necessarily settle into a specific style of play. And once that happens, it will spread to everybody else. Now, for Jrue Holiday, assuming he's playing tonight, I'm interested in seeing who he's going to clue in on. Who is he going to focus his defensive efforts on? Will it be Hero? Will it be Goran coming off the bench?
I think it'll be Tyler.
Okay, yeah, then all right, that's fair. That's fair. I think that'll be interesting to see, especially in terms of how they're going to be approaching us. But defensively, I think we'll have our work cut out for us, but I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I think something that you said was interesting, how you said the Bucks have a better team than Miami on paper. I'm not so sure about that because beyond their top four, the rest of that team is pretty shitty. I'm trying to keep it together because this is supposed to be the professional thing.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
By the way, guys, the Clutch Corner will be taking over the post game. We'll still have some of the same cast of characters. So if you guys are expecting this professional shit to last, don't.
Look, Royal, we know this. We know what the business is. Okay,
yes,
but you know what it is. Look, out in that studio out in Atlanta, they don't believe that. They don't. Yeah, they see a Lopez twin. They see Giannis. They see Jrue. They see Chris Middleton, and then they'll automatically think, oh, we don't have a chance. Not realizing we almost swept them last season if it wasn't for
So, Greg, when was the last time you heard anything coherent come out of that studio in Atlanta?
It's been a long time, but I truthfully, I kind of watch it for the hot takes and the entertainment value when I do watch it. So I'm watching it within the context of kind of like a parody of people that are supposed to care about the game and speak about it with any level of, the ability to articulate. So it's like, I kind of look. I watch at it from that lens, so it's not. I don't get as bothered by it as I see some others do. I often disagree with all them guys, and I assume you're talking about the Turner crew. Is anyone else coming out of Atlanta these days? That's really the only show. The ESPN stuff's out of Bristol.
It was a very specific shot, Greg.
Hey, they got the game tonight, and I have YouTube TV. That's the only way I could watch it. So.
I just had that aha moment. Okay, yes. So they're going to say some ridiculous stuff. Miami can't get back to the finals. On and on and on. Just let it go, and let's get through this broadcast.
That's somebody in the comments said that Greg is greater than Max Kellerman. I agree. Clutch, you know why we got you on the show. Are we still getting harder?
Why are we talking about this here?
Yeah, save it.
Promo show. We'll talk about that tonight on the Clutch Corner.
Somebody
But
asked
when-
about it in the comments, and the comments not coming up on the screen, so I had to make that.
I get 50 DMs a day.
Oh, I
asking to
bet.
forget
I
about
bet.
it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's
I
funny?
don't
too?
care about a YouTube comment.
You know how
Same
James
thing.
Harden centric Clutch's life is that when we were talking about Tyler Hero a minute ago and you talked about turnovers and taking care of the ball, I saw him smirk and shake his head in disgust as if it was not possible
All right,
because he's already mentally preparing himself for letting Tyler go and accepting the Harden trade, right? That's what's happening there?
Look, no, because when we're talking about Tyler Hero as a ball handler, I'm thinking about how they're forcing him to become a point guard the same way they forced Tyler Johnson, same way they tried forcing Josh Richardson and Justice Winslow. The most successful they've been is with Justice, and look where he is now. Look where all of them are.
For like 2
They're not
weeks.
on the Heat team. So I just don't like how they force certain guys to be ball handlers when they're not. That's all.
Yeah, but James Harden had 44 and 17, though, bro.
in a loss.
I'm not talking about James.
And the game losing turnover, bro.
We're talking about the Bucks and the Heat.
He made Christian Wood look like Wilt Chamberlain.
Okay, so back to the Bucks and the Heat. I want to focus on Miami. Kind of like, so we know Spo's been going about 10 deep in his rotation. Jonathan, I'm kind of wondering, like, in terms of like who's the first five. I think we already asked about who the potential starting five is from. I think we asked Brady. I don't remember, but I want to know everybody's take on who's going to be that first five out there, because I don't think we got a chance to go all the way around on who's going to start.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Hero, Nunn, Duncan, Bam, Myers, just to match up with the size, because with Chris Middleton, I think maybe you can just throw Duncan on him because he's not going to do too much. But once he starts cooking, then you take him out, you throw Andre Iguodala on him. But if you look at the Bucks bench, DJ Augustine, Brian Forbes, Connaughton, Portis, maybe he'll be the most dangerous guys. Like, he's going to be the random scrub heat killer of the night between him and Dante DiVincenzo.
It's possible.
But I think really it's going to be, it doesn't really matter who starts because our bench unit is going to be so much better than theirs. That's going to be really what it's going to come down to.
All right, Brady, who do you think gets the start?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Nunn, Hero, Duncan, Harkless, Bam. So I think I've been saying that Nunn, I think will start. And if you start those Nunn, Hero, and Duncan, I don't think you're going to play Myers. I just feel like that's just too many defensive liabilities on the floor. So I feel like throwing Harkless out there just to start, I think we get caught up in starting. But 3 minutes in, he could throw anybody in after saying this. But Harkless is like the most interesting one guarding, talking about guarding a guy like Giannis, because you're replacing him after last year throwing Jay Crowder at him, who was a physical guy, and he has struggled with bigs this year. That's why I think a lot of people are intrigued to see Precious get thrown on Giannis just to see how he reacts. If there's a playoff matchup in the future that you have a physical guy that can, pair up with Andre Iguodala to, kind of try and stop him. So I think Harkless starts. And I think Nunn starts as well.
Okay, Ricky, who do you see going out there first five?
I think I'm with Brady on this one. I think we might see. I think it was Nunn, Hero, Harkless, Bam, but you know what? It wouldn't shock me terribly if Spo just decided to throw Iggy out there just to disrupt things a little bit. But as Brady said, it doesn't. The starting five really, really doesn't matter, because the lineup that pretty much won us the game on Christmas, I don't believe was the starting five that we were dealing with. It was Goran, Hero, Duncan, Precious, and Iggy. That was the lineup down the stretch that won us that game, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, we know how Spo feels about lineups. If he didn't have to, he wouldn't put those up. He wouldn't put that list out there. It would be interesting to see how it starts, but I think it's going to be a pretty unsurprising starting five.
Greg,
and he mentions the bench unit. I think that's like a big thing, because I don't think they're going to insert the four guys that I've discussed off the bench, Goran, Bradley, Iguodala, or Precious. They've worked so well together off the bench. They had great chemistry that I don't think they're just going to throw a guy like Iguodala in the starting lineup. So that's the kind of my opinion. I think that would be the way they usually go. But just off of pure continuity perspective, I think that's kind of where I think they go a different route.
Greg.
Yeah, same lineup as Christmas Day. Just swap out Jimmy and Kendrick. So I'm kind of chalk like to what everybody else has said. I'm waiting for the starting lineup tweet to come out from the social media account from Miami. So the minute that pops, I will announce it here so that before it hits the timeline, you guys get it who are watching the broadcast.
We appreciate that. We appreciate all your hard work. Clutch, who you see trying out there in the starting five?
Like the rest of you guys said, I don't think the starting lineup really matters, but Myers, Bam, Tyler, Duncan, and Mo. I don't want to have Kendrick, Duncan, and Tyler out there defending Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and who else? And DiVincenzo.
Just say zone. Go zone.
I don't. That's not a good. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. But like I said, I don't think the starting lineup really matters. But I would like to throw that lineup out there just to see how it works, because you have three 3-point shooters, and then you got Mo and whatever Mo gives you, and you got Bam really as the only non-shooter. So we test out what Tyler can do as a ball handler one last time, and see how it goes.
I think I'm with most of you guys, except for the fact that I want to start Avery Bradley. Like I would like to start Avery Bradley at the point just to kind of deal with the problem that is Drew Holiday, like from the offset, because I don't want him to get into a rhythm, because he is one of those type of players that could get you 20 points on a random night. And I think having any combination of Kendrick Nunn, Hero, Duncan Robinson on him is just a recipe for him doing what he wants to do. That's somebody who we haven't talked about much this thing. Like, we talked about our plan for Giannis, but Brady, what's our plan for Drew Holiday this game?
I mean, you hit on Avery Bradley. I think was very, very good, last game. Mentioning that bench unit. I think Avery Bradley and Iguodala playing together is something we're going to see a lot of. Just the way that he, they were just straight up switching everything, and they were causing havoc on the perimeter. Then having Precious back them up that's why it worked so well. And Goran, ran the offense. But stopping those guys, I think Avery Bradley's going to be utilized a lot. Some people were kind of talking down on his defense for like a stretch there, because he's not, a defender that a lot of people were talking about. But after that game, I think that he's exactly what the Miami Heat needed. Just watching him disrupt JJ Redick all night. And if you could just have him, one-on-one, take a guy out of the equation in a playoff series, that's going to be, very helpful.
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out, because you guys can't see the comments. We want to thank the Unidentified Celebrity Review for the donation. The comment says, "Loving all the beautiful brown skin. Keep up the amazing work." Yeah. So shout out to that. Appreciate you, man. So Jonathan, we were talking about some defensive work that we're doing on Drew Holiday, but nobody seems to even care about Chris Middleton at this point. He was the Bucks' second best player all of last season. What's the deal there? What do we do in terms of, trying to contain him, because we're assuming Bam will get the Giannis assignment for most of the night anyway?
Yeah, I think we have a couple of options. I think this is somewhere where Mo Harkless can really be useful, because, we've seen him get bullied by bigger guys, but as somebody who will just try to take you off the dribble, Mo Harkless can come in. He can try to give you those defensive stops. He's lengthy enough, so you just can't shoot over him like we saw him turn into Michael Jordan and just shoot over everybody last year in that one game they beat us. But I think Mo Harkless can show his his worth in this game against, or at least these two games against Chris Middleton.
Okay, Clutch, what's the one thing that I haven't touched on that you want to see, that you want to talk about? Because I mean, I'm running out of it.
I guess it really is the turnovers. The turnovers, I think, are the key to this game, and if the Heat can keep that down, they have a good shot at winning this game. I personally think they lose this one but win tomorrow night, because we know that Spo is the best coach in the NBA in terms of adjustments and making adjustments in order to win games. But I think tonight the Bucks are just the feistier team, I think is the best way to put it, because they lost by 20 the last game, and they're going to come out hungry. So, yeah. Watch out for the Giannis spin move that he's going to do at least 5 times today.
Or that long ass Euro step from the free throw line.
Right. Take some damn charges.
Oh, then there will be charges called tonight.
Greg, I think he makes an interesting point about the back-to-backs because, I mean, back-to-backs are a normal thing in NBA season. Back-to-backs against the exact same team are
in the same
not.
arena.
It's
so weird.
It's just weird. How does that help or hurt Miami in terms of being able to pick up one of these wins?
I think it helps in that, and some of this is a little bit of the intangible fire in the eyes stuff that I think some people kind of laugh at. But like, you lose the first game, a lot of players always say like the best thing they could do is get back out on the court immediately. You get to do that. You get to make adjustments quickly while it's fresh. It's not like you're seeing them 4 weeks later. If you win the first game, there is an opportunity.
I don't know if I'm just shaking my head because I can't hear him by myself.
We lost him.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think Comcast is hating on his team. Seems like
censoring him right now.
If I could jump in real quickly on something, you see, I think this Heat team loves that kind of pressure where it's like, oh yeah, back to back. You know, we're tired. No excuses. Next man up. I think they love that kind of energy, and I could legit see them win convincingly in Wisconsin. Now, a lot of the star teams tend to be negatively impacted by, you know, quote unquote scheduled losses and things of that nature. But I mean, would it not be Heat culture if they ended up going into Wisconsin tomorrow night and pretty much handling their business in a beautiful way?
Isn't it in Miami tomorrow?
Yeah, it's 2 games in Miami.
It's 2 games in Miami.
Wait, we're not at home tonight?
Yeah, we're home both nights.
We're at home both nights. Both of the games are in the same arena. Yeah,
it's funny. I just saw a TNT montage, and okay, you know what? Yeah,
shout out to Ricky who just did the really from the Clutch Corner intro.
Wow.
Yeah. So, real quick, I think we got 3 minutes left before we're supposed to wrap this up. Let's do game picks. Ricky, who you got winning tonight? What's the score?
Oh, geez.
Why?
And why? All right, here we go. I think, you know, whatever. Heat win 109-98. And that's because overall team defense, Hero goes off because it's Wisconsin. And KZ Okpala drops 15 points in the second half that takes us to victory and satisfies our fans.
Oh, that is one bold ass proclamation right there, brother. Clutch, with your depressing ass, how much you got the Bucks winning by?
Bucks 120, Heat 110. Tyler Hero with a forced 28 points.
By forced, you mean 28 points on 24 shots?
Something like that.
Okay. Ramakan, I'm sorry that I'm calling you by your last name.
No, that's fine. That's
okay.
Fine.
so Ramakan, who you got in the game tonight, and what's the score?
I'm going to take the Heat. I think we're going to have a pretty decent shooting night. They weren't able to slow down the Knicks from deep. I think they shot 60% from deep for the Knicks. So I think if we get a good shooting night, I think it could happen just like we did last game. We can get it rolling. I'm going to say 104-112. We just edge them out. We play enough defense. We get that win.
Okay. And to the almighty Brady Hawk, we know whatever he says is damn near gospel. So
he's gonna post it in an article in like 5 seconds from now.
Absolutely. So Brady, who's winning? I'm not gonna ask you who you got. Who's winning tonight and by how much?
I'm gonna say Heat by 2. I think it's gonna be a close game. Either way. I think it's gonna go down to the end. And I think it's gonna, this game's gonna come down to all their veterans. Goran, like I mentioned, Goran, Andre Iguodala, I think is gonna have to play well. To take over that role for Jimmy. And I think, Bam attacks the rim off those dribble handoffs when they begin to start flying out on Duncan early. I think they're going to win by 2.
I'm going to echo what Brady said because he's usually right. So I say the Heat win by 2. It's going to come down to the veterans. What if you said, Brady? No, but I do got the Heat winning tonight. But I got the Heat winning by 5. So I'll say that the Heat win 195. I think it's going to be primarily because of the job Bam does on Giannis. I think he's going to do the same thing that he's been doing throughout this history of them playing against each other, and that's slow him down and make him much more ineffective than he is in normal games. I think Chris Middleton is the guy that goes off, but I believe Avery Bradley plays more minutes than everybody else. in terms of guarding Drew Holiday. So I think that's going to be another key to the game. So thanks for everybody that joining us tonight on the pregame show. Game starts at 7. Make sure you look out for the Clutch Corner / postgame show at the buzzer. So for my guy Clutch, Ramlakan, Brady Hawk, and Ricky J. Mark, we're going to say thank y'all. Enjoy the game.